today we're going to be talking about Glide. And Glide is a really unique concept that a lot of people may be unfamiliar with this idea that a database that populates all the applications that you use, it's basically just a spreadsheet. It's rows and columns of information that have been sliced and diced into some sort of delivery of information that you can recognize and easily consume. So let's go ahead and just jump in. I've already got an account created, but I specifically knew for this session that I want to create another account. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up just to take you through the process. And as you can see, it says, wow, excuse me. That's weird because it signed me in already. I bet I have to sign out and then I'll come back in. Okay, so I signed out. So what you'll notice right away, I'll go back out for just a second. So when I say sign up, the Glide sign up process is, hey, you have a dashboard. It begins by giving you a dashboard of projects that are already made. You do not have to actually sign up to begin looking at Glide. However, the only way to sign up for Glide is to have a Google account. So Glide works with Google Sheets, so it needs permission to access your Google Drive. So the sign up process is really simple. I'm going to click OK here, and then it's going to ask me which account that I want to have. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use my old Block account, nor will I use my old Thinkful account. Although, what's weird is it looks like that's still turned on. Hey, Thinkful, turn my account off. I don't work for you folks anymore. I'm going to go down here to New Pragmatic. All right, so Glide wants to access your Google account. I will allow it. And now we're in. You can see it's got my little C icon over there. And what we could do is we can create a new app. What I'm going to do first, though, before we begin creating apps, is I want to kind of take you on a little tour of some of the templates that you have available. I found these to be particularly helpful because it gives you a sense of how these applications are created. Let's go to employees just for a second. You can see there's a really great, robust tutorial to walk you through particular sections of Glide. Each of the tutorials for Glide are about, I'd say no more than a couple of minutes, because it doesn't take just a ton of time to get yourself up and running with Glide. For most people, when I talk to them, it's just that they don't know it exists. It's not that Glide is hard at all. I'm going to go ahead and close this, though, because I don't necessarily need the video. They're clearly big Office fans at Glide, but as you can see here, this is the employees page, and the layout is a list view. One of the first things that I started messing around with when I came in to work with Glide was just changing the orientation of how the display of lists of the list view was. And as you can see, just by rolling through, now calendar is not going to do anything for you because there are no calendar items associated with the spreadsheet that they're displaying. It's all people. So of course, in a list view, you're going to have things like photos and the name of the person and what their title is. But if I come down here to gallery, I still have that. I have a gallery option here available to me because I have photos. And if you click through on the photo, you get information about that person. You see what their office is, you see their manager, see who they manage. This is because of the way the spreadsheet itself is oriented. I can actually go in and view the sheet by clicking View Sheet, and now you get an idea of how this is all put together. It says Michael Scott, Regional Manager, email, phone number, photo, office, and it's interesting. There's a couple of things here that are pretty great, actually, and it's the fact that with the columns, and I can't adjust these columns completely, but with the columns because it's a view only. There's a formula here. It says manager equals employee email multiple. Now, what they've done here to organize this manager column is they've used the manager email. So the manager email is pretty common. So you see Great Scott, Jim, Andy, Jim, Ryan, Angela. So they have the ability to bundle information based on this common attribute. So the first thing they've done here is that they've said, hey, manager equals employees, email, multiple, and then they've got another column and it says manages. So they flipped it. You can be a manager or you can manage. And when you manage somebody, it shows you the employees that are associated with that particular manager. So the first thing that I would say to you is, if you're wanting to really dig in and begin utilizing Glide to the fullest potential, up your spreadsheet food. Okay, being able to do formulas like this. And I gotta be honest with you, I've gone through and I've been taking notes myself. I'm not sure if you can see a unique food exclamation point B2:B. That sounds like gobbledygook. And I know what you're saying to yourself, Chris, you said there would be no code. It's a spreadsheet. It's not code, but there are formulas. There are formulas for organizing this data. And that is how we allow ourselves in Glide to get things like manager and manages out of one single spreadsheet. All right, this is a lot of information. If we go back, I'm going to switch the view here to map. And as you'll see, suddenly the employees are on a map. Well, what is that keying to? Well, the offices tab is probably the same if I had to guess. If you see here, there's office in Ohio, New York, and Massachusetts. I'm not entirely sure why there are, it looks like a Tulsa office, an Alabama office. So what I want to do here is I want to go back and look at that spreadsheet really fast and see if there is a location associated with each. And I don't see that. So that's a really weird random thing. And that's something to be aware of when if I've noticed anything about Glide, it is that sometimes mapping will show up and it makes no sense. It doesn't. I can't find the data in that spreadsheet. I'm going to go in here one more time. I'm going to look at offices, and yeah, I got locations that don't make sense for that. But this is another really important point to realize is that we have two tabs down here: employees and offices. Well, employees. I'm going to get off that map view because it doesn't make any sense. Go back to list. So employees are a tab and offices are a tab, and that's because employees are a tab here and offices are a tab. So that bottom navigation in Glide is guiding the navigation. Or actually, it's getting its marching orders directly from the spreadsheet. So if you have a third, a fourth, a fifth tab, you can imagine what's going to happen down here to the bottom navigation. You can, in fact, get rid of that navigation if you want it to. I could sit here. Let's go back to list. Actually, let's go here. And I believe if I wanted to, I can go here to navigation. And I actually can turn that off. So if I wanted just offices, I could also just turn off I can turn off the labels as well. I do believe you have to have something showing, though. It won't allow you to turn everything off. Also of note is in Glide, there is a built-in chat function, which I thought was really cool. Now, I'm assuming, and I can't say that I've actually deployed and then actively used it. I've used Glide for testing, but I'm assuming that this chat function would allow people to chat back and forth. So I have to tell them who I am. So I'm going to say I'm Christopher Courtney, and I'll just use my email, and there it pulls in my mugshot, and I'm going to say done, and I guess I'll close. And now, yeah, that doesn't quite work as I would have anticipated it to. So we're going to leave that be. Oddly enough, also, for some reason, it changed all of this as well. So it now, because of my autofill presets, it changed everything to my zip code, which is probably not great, but something to be aware of as you're using this. This is something that I have not seen in practice, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have these sessions, is to give us an opportunity to kind of hack around inside of one of these things and discover this information together. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off chat, and as you can see, that tab bar, either if it's just one, it goes away. If it's multiple, it automatically makes room. You can get rid of the labels. Another thing that's really cool is you can actually change these icons. So if I wanted to change employees for some reason to the anchor, I'm not sure why I would change it to the anchor, but there it is. If I wanted to change, and I can change it to, I don't think it was employees, it might have been people. I can also just scroll down really quickly, and seems like there should have been, did I kill the people icon by deleting it? That shouldn't have worked that way. What is their people icon called? Maybe yeah, so by having a single letter in there, it was parsing out. And let's see, rotate plus, I feel like I'm blind. I feel like I'm, for some reason, not quite hip enough to figure out what they've called. What is it, crowd? It wouldn't be crowd, would it? And again, this is where just not knowing the name, how they've named all the icons, plays a bit of a role. Oh wow, they have a little CodePen icon. That's great. We love the folks over at CodePen. That's something else we'll need to be doing a. They've made some dramatic updates to CodePen, so we will need to pull a new walkthrough of the fine folks at CodePen as well. I am absolutely certain it's in here somewhere. And it's probably something like personnel. No, it's not personnel. It users. It's users. Well, I should have known that. So if I wanted to change it to user, just be that. If I wanted to change it to users, be that. Pretty simple stuff. Also in here, you can go into settings and you can actually rename the app. So if I want to name it people, I could, and you can see that the name change takes part over there. You can also change the overall theme. So if I wanted this theme to be what they call bold, that must already be bold. If I want to say light, you can see it does that. If I want it to say dark, get that dark theme. If I want to say pure black, now it's not. Now there's no variation at all except for when you hover over. If I want to say pure white, get that. So bold picks up the color. I'm pretty sure that if I just change the colors out here, you can. And you can also select specific colors if you want it to. So for instance, if I wanted to do something new pragmatic-y, I could do that. I could also enter in a hex code if I wanted to. You can also change out this icon. So if I hit change I could obviously, hey, I'll make that a globe. A globe's not a really good color though. Want to make a flag, you could do that. I could also simply upload. So I could upload, although I've gotten rid of most of the stuff. So the new pragmatic logo does not load very well there, and also is not really the right size, but you get an idea. And I would probably also want to go more to the lighter version of new pragmatic if I was going to. We have a more of a neon green and then a dark green. Use those together. So, oh, hey, group, team. Yeah, it was neither, Pankeel. It was users. Users. Who knew? All right, so that gives you an idea, and we've just kind of been hacking around in their template. There's also other templates. The one of the templates that I felt like was most beneficial, would have been most beneficial to me when I was working with a client recently, would have been this conference template. There's so many times where and entire businesses have been built around, hey, you've got a festival, we'll import all your festival information and spit out an app on the other side. Well, all we were building was spreadsheets that fed into an application. This does the same thing. Again, what I like to do is I like to view the sheet, because I'm really interested in how did they get, in this, how do they get the dates all sorted out like that? What is the, when we go in here and we look at the navigation, and we look at the screen, I've got title of session, I got when, so date and time. So it seems like this is all triggered together. If I want it, I could flip it around, newest first or oldest first, and looks like I can also add an item if I want it to. So there's ability to insert new information. I'm always interested in this because that tells me that people could then update the spreadsheet, and I'm curious if that's a good or a bad thing. There's also ways to limit accessibility to utilize the application, so that's also interesting. I'm going to pull that add item back. I want to view the sheet on this one because I'm curious how they're organizing. You'll notice there's a couple of interesting things here that we haven't seen before. If we're back over here in Glide, you'll notice that the emojis are here. You'll also notice that the emojis are here, and that's pretty cool. So they are able to have emojis in the actual spreadsheet and then spit out on the other side. So Glide that's not going to choke Glide. That would be something I would typically be worried about. Another thing that is very important to realize is that on images, I tried this a couple of different ways when I was working with images. I tried pulling from like LinkedIn and Twitter because they host images there for like the bios or the avatars. I could not get it to show up. However, using Firebase, and I'll pop over here to Firebase really fast. Using Firebase, you can see I've got a few things here. I've got Bangalore, the gardens. I've got Bangalore Palace, and I've got Bull Temple. I'm going to Bangalore in actually a little over a week now. 2 weeks. 2 weeks I'll be in Bangalore. 1 week I'll be in Mumbai. But in 2 weeks I'll be in Bangalore, and I'm putting together a bit of a tutorial specific to Glide for Bangalore, and to get the images to show up, I needed to put them into something like Firebase. You could also use AWS, and I chose to use Firebase here mainly because I feel like it's more accessible. Firebase is less of a lift to get yourself up and running on versus AWS. AWS it's overwhelming, particularly if you're not really deeply versed in development at all. Firebase is way friendlier for a designer to begin using. So I decided to just go with Firebase. I use AWS, but I'm hosting hundreds of images and videos there. Here I've got 3, So Firebase also free, and that brings me to another point on Glide that I want to back out and look at really quickly. If we talk about Glide, let's see here. I'm gonna pull us over here into another tab. I've had a lot of people ask me, okay, so Glide sounds cool. Like, how much is this magic? There's magic going on. How much is it going to cost me? And the thing that one of the big reasons why I think it's a great tool to begin learning mobile design as a student is it's free. You can build a ton of stuff on Glide for free. Okay, it's got Glide branding on it, but that's not going to keep you from getting real value and learning out of it. The other thing is to actually have an app that can be deployed like you can share a mobile app with a link. It's not an app that's going to be downloadable on the Apple on the iOS store or on Android, or on the App Store or Android or Google Play. As you can see here, there's a pro and a business. If you're releasing a business application, like something that you want to have downloaded in the store, it's going to be $99 a month, and it's billed annually. That's like $1,200. But for your company, like for a company expense, you have to ask yourself, okay, can we build this? Can I build and deploy this for $1,200? Or you could do it per month. And I really like this per month thing because there's a lot of things that are like festivals. Like, we're hosting a festival, we're hosting an event. This is not something that needs to, first of all, it's not something that needs to be on the App Store for years and years and years anyway. There's a lot of garbage. It's almost like flying through the satellites surrounding the Earth of garbage that is in the App Store. So I like the fact that they have a per month option. Your company wants to release a festival app. That's fantastic. Do the $119 a month. Do it for 2 months. All right. You have your app. You can sell your branding around it, whatever, and then it disappears automatically when you shut down the payment to it. Glide pulls it off. That's great. That's fantastic, because we get rid of dead, junky apps from cluttering up the App Store experience. If you don't need a mobile app that's downloaded on the App Store, you just need to share it with a link, something that can be installed. The Pro app, like I just have a tool that I need to build for my company, and we just need a link. $19. That's pretty good. That's reasonable. So I think that this approach is really helpful for students, because you can just build, and you're fine. The Pro approach is, I need to make something for my company. It doesn't have to be publicly accessible. Then the $19 a month thing is fine. And there's lots of, I can think of right now, here in America, that we're going through the presidential campaign, and I can know for a fact there's a lot of companies, or there's a lot of teams that they need voter registration apps. They need all sorts of little tools for their campaigns. You can't always throw development at it. This is always one of those classic build or buy. So if I'm in a build or buy situation, I need a simple app for my campaign staff that's out in the field at Iowa, I'm going with the $19 a month plan. I need to build something really quick. It's just for them. Go. And also, again, like if I was out doing manual door-to-door knocking, hey, can I count on your vote? I tell you what, I would love it in a second. I'm going to go back over here to my people thing. I would love it in a second if I could just add that person right there. That's super cool. Now, of course, you got to add a new item, and then you've got to come in here and figure out what you want to add. So, what do I want to add? Well, I want to add a new note. And, I also want to have, let's see here. How can we do this? Email title. So is this, what happens here? What happens here when I click this? Oh, I add a new note and I write that new note. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's come back over here. Let's cancel that. I want to play with that again for a second. Let's go with name. Oh, okay. So what's happening here is when I say I'm going to add a new note, it's asking me what column do I want to populate. And I'm going to say, please enter name. And yeah, so I can also add, it says notes name. Looks like I can also add choice. So I can, okay, so this gives you a few different ways to approach it, and then you can hit add, and it, yeah, so now Michael Scott is down there. I could actually build this into an ingestion tool for people in the field, which is fantastic, because you don't want to have to go into the spreadsheet. Oh yes, I'm in the field and I'm talking with people, and I'm going to now pull up the spreadsheet on my phone and try to manipulate a Google spreadsheet. Though that's gross and stupid. This being a way to build a simple tool to do ingestion, it's fantastic. Another way you can do ingestion, and this is something that I have not talked about to this point, but I will be talking about it soon. IFTT, or IFTTT, if this then that. So with if this then that, what we would do is we would say, hey, when somebody sends me an email, I want you to, so we'll say email. When somebody sends me an email, I want you to, actually, let's go back really fast. So I'll go to my services, thanks. Oh, maybe, oh, it says I'm signed in. Let's go here to my activity. Great, that's just telling me when my applets ran. I want to create. So if this, I'm going to say, if type form, say Google survey. Yeah, if Survey Monkey, if I have a Survey Monkey entry come in, oh well, now it's going to ask me to connect it. So I'm not going to connect Survey Monkey right now. But the point is, when you have ingestion coming in from a third party somewhere, you could actually populate and send that to the Google Sheet that we've been working on. And what that would allow you to do is have some sort of other outside ingestion point populate the sheet as well. So you wouldn't necessarily have to do everything through the app. You could do it through a number of different areas, and it could all be populating in the same place. It's really cool stuff. I hate it that I geek out on it so much, but I think there's just a ton of applications for it and ways that you can really build. But let's build something. You want to build something? I want to build something. So I'm going to come over here to to Glide, and I'm going to build off of a spreadsheet. And I've got a couple of things that I put together specifically to kind of show us, hey, let's get away from their data for a second, and let's jump into ours. So this is a spreadsheet, and to get an idea what spreadsheet you're about to look at, this is it. I have a series of students, former colleagues. I have a students column and I have a coworkers column, and I just put some information in here so that you'd have an idea of how it works. Hey, Pankeel, you're right there. You're already on the board, man. You're already in the presentation. Sorry, but you're there. There's two columns here. There's students and then there's coworkers. If I jump in and connect this, I've done nothing with Glide to this point, but there it is. It is populated. And if I click through, I can see Ben Howard. I've got a link to his LinkedIn. It opens if now I'm looking at Ben's LinkedIn. Sorry, Ben, didn't mean to do that. I could jump to his portfolio. Here's an image from his portfolio. We go back. I can take this and I can say, hey, you know what? I want to see these as tiles, or I want to see these as columns. I can begin shifting around this presentation, the presentation of this really fast. I can say, hey, is Pankil? Hey, there's Pankil. I can click on them and off we go. This is a really powerful thing that just takes a spreadsheet of information and quickly makes an application. I could also come through and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to clear that search bar off. Maybe I don't want the search box. I can get rid of that. That's fine. If I come back to our navigation, maybe I don't want to see the coworkers. That's fine. The navigation goes away. I come back and I can say, hey, maybe I want this to be a dark theme. And, maybe I just want to say, instead of former colleagues, maybe these are just my colleagues. Maybe I don't want that rainbow. Maybe I just love these people. That's the way that I want to look at it. And notice what happens with all the little cues here. See, the accent color is changing everything throughout the application. Really cool stuff. I'm going to come back to navigation. I'm going to turn coworkers back on. Again, if we go to students, we know what user is, so I'm going to go user. See, I learned. I didn't fall back into that trap. Here, I'm going to say bolt. No, I don't want bold. I want lightning. I don't want cloud lightning. I'll just use anchor. Anchor for my former coworkers, because they are the anchor, the rock. Here's Alyssa. Everybody remember Alyssa? Alyssa was great. Yeah, you can follow Alyssa right there. Alyssa_JS. So we've got our portfolio, we've got our LinkedIn, and come back. Juan Pablo, also fantastic. Notice that there's no image up here though. What's happening? What's going on? Well, if we come back over here to coworkers, you can see that Juan Pablo's image is a LinkedIn image, where Alyssa's image is a Firebase image. And this is what I was talking about a little earlier. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I just saw your note, Pankil, about images and where they're coming from. LinkedIn is not wanting to serve that image. They have it. They've made it. They could have made it to where you could serve it from there, but they specifically said we do not want to allow people to use our bandwidth to serve images. So that's why you have to take it over into Firebase, or that's why you have to take it over into AWS. Here again, I've talked about Firebase. It's literally just firebase.google.com. Firebase is a Google company, so when you're thinking about this, Glide works with Google. Google Spreadsheets power Glide. Firebase is just a natural that ties it all together in the same ecosystem. When we look at this spreadsheet, the reason, that's the other spreadsheet. I want to shut that down. When we look at the spreadsheet, the reason JP is not showing up there is because it's through LinkedIn. Let's go ahead and open that though. I want to fix that problem while we're here. So let's go to JP Gomez. JP, by the way, one of the best mentors you could ever work with. Great guy. Hey, Charlie! Charlie's in the house. Charlie. There's JP. Love JP. One of the best hires I ever made. There's JP, and if you're just me, okay. Well, let's see here. I need to rename that. There we go. I'm just gonna call it JP JPEG. JP JPEG. JP, John Pablo Gomez. He's JPEG. I never realized that. Juan Pablo Gomez, JPEG. That's great. Let's go over here. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, all right, we're going to, well, I'm not in the must-see app. I'm in the Glide app. And that's the other thing I'll mention about Firebase. The user experience for uploading files and just managing things, dramatically easier in Glide. So I've got, let's go here to desktop. I should only have the JPEG of JP. There it is. I will grab it. So we're going to get JP there. I'll grab this link, come over here, delete, refresh. Now, all I've done is refreshed. By the way, if you hate that like I do, you can go to Format, Text Wrapping, Clip, and it'll clip that right off. Again, if you want to make the most of these spreadsheet-driven apps, like up your Google Sheet, Excel sheet, foo, to like 11, you can do amazing things with them. But let's come back over here to the actual Glide app. And without updating, it's already there. So with that, I'm going to go back. Now you can see it's also here. And that's one of the beauties of Glide, just in an instance. The other thing I'll mention is you can actually share. You can create a URL for this. So I'll call this I'll call this colleagues. I cannot type. Goodness. Colleagues. It says it's taken. Well, let's call that pragmatic. It's probably already taken too. It's not taken. That's crazy. All right, so I'm gonna use that, and what I want to do is I want to go to pragmatic.glideapp.com. Let's see here. I think I might have gotten that glideapp.io. I knew I was off somehow. And there's the application in the wild. So if I click in here and I say coworkers, there it is. If I come back, go over here, there's Crystal, there's Pankeel. If I click on Pankeel's portfolio, it takes me right to this badass portfolio. One question I have, and I haven't tested this. I'm wondering if I come over here and I type in, let's type in Sam Hankins. Sam Hankins, what's fun here is Sam Hankins is actually already in here. She's right there. One of my favorite students of all time. Also became a coworker. Worked with me for a while, so I'll paste it in. And you can see, I am Sam Hankins, Twitter Sam Hankins, all the Sam Hankins, all right there. All right, so I've got her there. If I save the spreadsheet, my question now is when I come back over to the Glide app, is it updated without me refreshing the page? Well, I guess I kind of technically have to refresh the page. It is not. If I refresh this, will it be there? It is! And what's cool about that is I never came back over to Glide to refresh it there. Oh, that is funny. How is it taking your initials as the photo? Okay, Pankeel, that's a great question. So I suspect, I want to see if I can break this, because I think that if I come through and let's just look at Crystal. If I come through and I remove this and I just say lowercase t, I bet hers is just going to be C when I come back to it. And by the way, I shouldn't have refreshed that way. There's another way to refresh. It wasn't. Let's reload the sheet. It is. So what it's doing, and I'm kind of curious. Again, I want to geeky play with this for a second. If I put the space there, I'm curious if they're running regex against it, regular expressions, to sense the space, or are they sensing the capital? If we see a lowercase t here, they're just looking for their space. If we don't see it here, they're looking for the capital. So let's come back over and reload the sheet. Oh, it helps if you save the sheet and then go back and reload the sheet. So they're just looking for the space. So it can actually be lowercase. You can also come through and let's see here. So the details, handle. I just want to kind of come in on one of these really fast. And I think there's a way to change. Okay, so that's the name itself. If I turn off the search box, I can add item, I can reverse the list. Wesley's in there. Look at Wesley. Taylor and Sam. Show title as image default. So right down here at the bottom, Pankeel, that's where you can toggle that off if you want to. I was keeping it on because it allows me to have something showing up there, and it also, I wanted to show what happens if you have a broken image. It will not break the application, and actually you don't have to have anything showing there. It just looks weird. If I come down here to gallery, it does that. Map, it does. And again, this is where it's so weird. I don't have those locations associated with these people that are listed here. So I'm not sure why it would, like, I want to go with the map here. Yeah, I have no idea where it's pulling that information from. But let's go ahead and let's come back over to Glide. I want to show what happens when you actually yeah, so Pankeel had a question. Let's go back to colleagues for a second. Pankeel had a question about Alyssa's picture. So Alyssa's picture here, if you look in the title, it says the details here are from Twitter. I can change it to LinkedIn. It's not pulling that picture actually from her Twitter. I actually pulled it, and then if you go back and look at the spreadsheet, you can see that in the spreadsheet it's a Firebase. So it's pulling that from Firebase. Same thing with Ben. I pulled Ben's photo and threw it into Firebase because it wasn't serving it from Twitter or LinkedIn. This is me screwing around with it, to be completely honest with you. I wanted to say, okay, I've looked at Glide spreadsheets. What can I quickly throw together to kind of see what this can do? So I have another one, and so this one doesn't have as many details because I was just kind of building it out. But I'm going to pull in Must See India, and Must See India is really more like Must See Bangalore. So here is Best of Bangalore, and I've got like 3 places here. The only reason that I wanted to mess with this is that mapping issue that we saw on the other side. I want to go ahead and jump into the sheet for just a second so we can take a look at this. In this instance, I actually have addresses, and each of these addresses are correct, or as correct as I could possibly get them. I also have hours, I have YouTube videos, I have a photo from Firebase storage, and then I have the name. So if we come over to Glide, I should be able to do a few things. One, right now I don't have any dining options to show, so I'm going to turn that off. 2, I've got a list. What happens if I come back to tiles? Well, now I can show this, but you see how this crops, and I don't think that there's any way to alter that crop. It's a bit weird, and I don't see any way to. It says image size is. But I guess I could do that. I could say image size is large. Medium also works. So I guess that's a trick if you if you can't handle the crop, you can actually just adjust the size of the image height. So the default is small, and that's not working for 90 the bull at all. So we'll do that. But what I really wanted to do is when I click over here on the botanical garden, I wanted to. I don't like the way this is set up, to be completely honest with you. If I turn the image off, it does that, which I guess is fine. If I come back and I want that photo back, but I just want the image. So here's the photo, and I can say edge to edge. I can say inset with content. I can do a lot of stuff here. What's interesting to me though is how easy it is to just reorder that information. Super smooth. I also have one other bit of information in here that I think is really important, and that is the link to the map. So I have a map here, and without doing anything, the map just immediately orients itself where it needs to be. And if I come back, instead of looking at this as tiles, I could look at this as a map. And in Bangalore, this is actually setting up properly. So if I, for whatever reason, removed this point, so I'm going to come over here to Must See India, and that's Bangalore Palace. I'm going to remove this address field for a second. I'll put it down here for some reason. I'm going to save this, come back to Glide. Notice that Glide automatically reorients the map to only show the two. So it will zoom in and zoom out. And that's one thing that I found that was most annoying when I didn't have the proper locations for most of my items. I got this. And we'll reload the sheet. It's just that. And the reason it's doing that is that's the train stop for that garden. The reason it's showing it this way is that's the only map point you have to show. The moment that you come back in and you say, oh, well, I'm going to add Bangalore Palace back in, and I'll save it, and I'll come back over here to Glide, and I'll reload that page, immediately it reorients the map to show you the two. And then, of course, as it is a map, you flip it, and it's that. The other thing I want to point out really fast is that this is for iOS. If I come over here to navigation, and I think I can change this. Let's see. There is... Oh, it's right there. So there was my map for Apple. Here's my map for Android. And if we come back over to navigation, actually, you know what? Let's exit out of Must See India for a second. Come back over to colleagues. This is Apple. This is Android. And you get a real sense of how differently these look when you're actually working with Apple and Android with a lot of data that the India application doesn't have at this point. But somehow I went a full hour with Glide. We built two apps really quickly. We looked at two others. We've covered Google Sheets. We've talked about Firebase. We've covered a ton of stuff here. We've looked at it. We've taken the actual link and shared it out. If you want to know more about Glide, I will be producing a full-on tutorial as part of the visual design component for New Pragmatic in the coming weeks. It is not available yet, and that's mainly because if I go over here to New Pragmatic and I look at the how it works, New Pragmatic's been hard at work working on the actual UX program, the portion of design that in my opinion steers the ship. All of design is important, but if you don't know the problem that you're trying to solve, if you don't understand how it impacts society, if you can't do it ethically, it doesn't matter. So that's why I've been focusing all of my attention thus far on the new pragmatic UX portion. It is in depth. I got to be honest with you, it's more in depth than any other UX program that I've written to date. But it is also free to you. If you'd like to jump in and learn more about product design, this is something I've built for you. If you want mentorship through this, if you're looking for guidance through this, you can also talk to me about that. But the curriculum itself, I really believe that design curriculum should always be free. I quit my job to do it because the other employers didn't believe that. But by golly, New Pragmatic, all the curriculum, all the videos, the stuff that we're doing right here will always be free to you. And if you found today's session helpful, if you've got somebody you know that's interested in product design or UX design or visual design or front-end design, send them my way. Send them to newpragmatic.com. I would more than graciously love to have them be part of this community. And final note, we're living over here in Discord. Discord is where it's at. I would love to see you over here. I've been talking with Wes all morning. Wes and Horatio came in. Lisa's in there now. Feel free to join us here. And by golly, it's 12:05. So I'm going to wrap this up. Oh wait, I got Pankill. So many great questions this morning. Let's get back over here and take a look. You said, do I see an info icon next to title? Why so? Okay, so the info icon. This is a way to share the app. So, and I wonder if I can turn that off. So I'm gonna hit done, and it says search box and navigation. I bet if colleagues, sign in, public, email whitelist. So that's interesting. Yeah, I don't see a way to turn that off. It may be something. It may be something that is associated with. It may be something that's associated with the level of plan that it is. So because it's not a this isn't a business app or a pro app, that may just automatically be there for like social discovery. So that would be my thoughts on that, Pankeel. But with that, my name is Chris Courtney, New Pragmatic. We're back, baby, all week long. Tomorrow, Figma plugins, and I will see you then. Take care.